Pwede ba yun? Or ano?
Pwede naman po. So,
O kaya
related pa rin.
Oo.
Open-minded ka ba? Welcome to Open Mind, the podcast made for e-scholars by the e-scholars. I'm here today with our fellow e-scholar from Masters in Distance Education, Miss Ella Corpus. Welcome, Miss Ella. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, good evening, whatever good day. Today I'm doing fine. Hope everyone's okay also.
Well, I'm looking forward to this episode. It's very interesting. As you guys have heard, she's under Masters in Distance Education. So we'll learn more about that today. Ate Ella, we know that there's a stigma ever since on students choosing to take masters, especially young people, because they think you have so much you could have done instead of taking a master's degree. So let's start with the most important question. Bakit ka nag-grad school?
Why not, diba? Because just a background, I'm a teacher. So I think when you're a teacher, I tried na, sabi ko parang nung nag-aaral ako nung college, ayoko nang mag-aral. Parang napagod ako, 'di ba? College, tama, parang medyo nakakapagod siya. But then I realized when you are a teacher, you cannot just stop there. Eventually, I decided I wanted to learn more because it's always a continuous learning eh. When you're a teacher, you need to learn a lot technically and you need to learn more things. So that's why I decided to have my master's degree. And I think it really helped me a lot in whatever I am doing right now as a teacher, as sort of a writer and all.
Thank you, Miss Ella. Like what you've mentioned, it's continuous learning. And I think that applies to everybody. And nakaka-relate ako dun sa, since I'm taking my bachelor's degree, parang gusto ko matapos na lang. But I think and nafi-feel ko kahit matapos ko yung bachelor's degree, I would also consider taking master's since again, continuous learning, especially for you po since you're a teacher by profession. Since we're on the topic of continuous learning, may I know how you are consistent with it? Because some people, they still want to learn, but they don't have the drive or motivation anymore. So for you, how are you consistent with it until now?
Kasi pag teacher ka, it doesn't stop there. Paulit-ulit ako, no? Pero pag teacher ka kasi, it's better if you know more on because when you know something, kapag meron kang mas alam mo, magagamit mo siya being an educator. At the same time, siguro that it doesn't go with educators only. Ang dami ng ganap eh. Kasi with everything that's happening like AI and all those things, diba? And then nag-pandemic, most of the kids right now are very, technologically able, if that's the right word, if that's the right word. More than the seminars and workshop, because I do seminars and workshops also to teachers and other professions. How can I give something that I don't have, diba? So that's why I try to find out ano ba talaga yung kailangan ko pang malaman. I realized that I need to read more, I need to do something more.
Like what you've mentioned, you already give seminars even to those other teachers already. Kapag nalalaman ng iba na estudyante ka pa or nagugulat sila or kaya iisipin nila, ba't ang tagal bago matapos? Bakit may master's education pa or master's degree pa na kailangan? And also, this goes to all grad students. Like for those delayed grad students, sa inyo ba, how do you or how would you cope with it if narinig nyo na estudyante ka pa or ba't ang tagal mo matapos? Parang ganun.
Actually, minsan naririnig ko rin talaga yan. While you're still studying, could have been doing something else or okay na yan. Feeling ko parang okay lang. I take it as a challenge. I take it like, yun nga, like what I've said a while ago, why not, 'di ba? Kung hindi ngayon, kailan pa? I want to do this not only for myself, but I think I have to do this for my family. I think it would benefit me professionally, magkakaroon ako ng professional growth, and I get to discover a lot of things that I wasn't been able to discover when I was in college.
And since you've mentioned college or bachelor's degree, if we may know po, what did you take for your
Oh,
bachelor's degree and where?
ayun, my bachelor's degree is I am Bachelor of Music, major in music education with voice emphasis and minor piano. at the UST Conservatory of Music. Yon.
Hmm. Okay. Since you were from that background, which is of course very interesting, nakakaiba pakinggan yung program mo now for your master's degree na Master's in Distance Education. So, gusto ko po marinig yung thoughts mo. Like, what were your thoughts before mo siya pinasok and now? Like, were your expectations met?
Mm. Before, sabi ko parang gusto ko yung MDE kasi Master's in Distance Education because I was reading on what is it. It's all about learning design. So it's all about skills in designing and implementing distance education and all those things. So parang kasi, yes, I am a music teacher but I'm mostly behind the scenes. Like I wanted, if sa stage play, gusto ko ako yung medyo director part, ako yung nagaganon. So I think it would be helpful for myself also na I wanted to know the theory and in a distance education side. So, yun, e-learning program. Kasi very rare sa music yun eh. That's very rare sa
Mm.
music. So, I see it as an opportunity for me to grow as an educator. And I really wanted to reach those rural areas kung kakayanan ko with research and all. So, yun.
Yung point niyo po na it's rare, did I understand it correctly that most people who are interested in music, they're interested in like performing, but for you, you're interested yun nga sa behind the scenes part na
Mm.
may research and all of that. But with that po, were you like with the program that you have now in UPOU, have you ever had any face-to-face activities?
With UPOU, wala pa. We're all online or like the Zoom meeting, ganyan. We haven't really had face-to-face sa school, sa mismong school.
Is that something po na you think should be implemented or it's okay na kahit wala pang face-to-face activities?
So far, kasi nagkaroon din ako ng mga people na naging close with. Iyon, video call din. Nabubuhay rin kami sa video call and all. But with the proximity that we have, like, there are some of my classmates that are really not from Metro Manila. Yung iba malayo sa LB. Tama, sa LB, di ba? Tayo magkikita-kita usually. And of course, with the busy life that we have, we're also grad students and we work. Okay rin siya na walang face-to-face. However, it would be good if maybe it would be something na nakaschedule na once a month. I think okay rin yung nakakasalamuha mo yung mga tao
Mm.
na hindi nakaharap sa screen. Okay rin yun na makikita ko yung professor ko, ganyan, yung mga classmates ko. At least sana kahit once a month.
Once a month, especially since if in person, of course, you'll feel their aura or their vibe. So I
True.
agree.
Mhm.
But if you didn't take your master's degree po, just an example, what would you be doing now aside from the work that you have?
That's a tough question. Oo nga, no? Actually, wala pa akong naisip, to be honest. But I wanted to have a daycare, perhaps. Work pa rin, sorry. Hindi. O kaya yung mga tipong o kaya yung tipong may mga mommy sa school, tas ako yung magte-take care ng mga kids nila. Parang ganun. Related pa rin. O kaya maglalaban na lang ako. Hindi, joke. But I wanted to bake because that's my background. Yun yung naging bread and butter namin. So, yun yung nagpaaral sa akin through college and all. So, feeling ko baka dun din.
We haven't really talked much about that, like your background before and your background now, aside from you taking a course for your bachelor's degree that's related to music and then now related to distance education. So, if we may know more, well, like what is your work now or the things that you do on the side?
Aside from master's degree, I'm active with with an organization. Of course, in music also. So I'm part of the Philippine Society for Music Education. And then I'm the vice president for finance. So yun. And then also I'm part of Musika Pilipinas. Yun yung medyo mga ginagawa ko. And ano pang pinagkakabisihan ko? I'm a mommy. I'm a mommy of two boys. Yun, being a parent also. But those are the things that na pinagagawa ko sa buhay ko.
Sobrang dami because for me, I have a full-time work and then I'm a full-time student then in UPOU. But for you po, I can't Imagine paano na-handle yung iba't ibang, activities or work sa buhay. So, what would be your advice po to those who are planning to take a master's degree in the future? Like, how would they handle their time?
Actually, having a master's degree is a lot of effort. You really have to know how to use your time wisely. That's the best thing that you can do. You have to know when to stop with things that you have to do, and you have to prioritize which is important. Diba? There are things that we do. Is this important, more important, or is this urgent? Or pwede itong mag-antay. Diba? So, time management talaga. Yun talaga yung medyo kailangang ma-practice. But when you do something na you do it over and over again, example, when you have a routine, you have to do it at least 8 times. Eight, ayan, 8 times. So for example, what I do, dati, hanggang ngayon, I make sure that maraming readings na nagaganap. I make sure that every day, at least, I have 1 to 2 hours to read my readings, ganyan. I have to find time. Usually, I read around 10 o'clock above because that's my downtime. Wala na akong ginagawa nun. Wala na akong chores, wala na akong other things. So, you have to do it 8 times consecutively. Pag na-break ko yon ng 10 o'clock, nag-read ako ng ibang oras and I wanted to have a routine, I have to do it from the top. That's how you establish a routine. So you have to have a routine. By this time, ito dapat ginagawa ko. By this time, ito. Yun, parang dun ako nabuhay. Parang you have to have a routine, you have to know how to manage your time wisely. Kasi, wait, magka-K-drama ba ako? Or magbabasa ako? Sorry ah. Natawa ka do'n. Wait, sige. Dahil diyan, magbabasa muna ako and then magke-K-drama ako. Parang gano'n.
And one of the things that you shared with us was to use your time wisely.
Yes.
Was this something na you were able to apply po at the beginning of you taking your master's degree, or it also took some time?
Sobrang nakakawindang siya at first. Sorry for the word, but it took time. It was so hard for me because we had a lot of things to read and I'm not used to that because I'm into performing. My course when I was in college was more on singing, practicing, routine. So eventually, I have to go to another path of finding out how do I do this. Kasi kapag hindi ka nagbasa, natatambakan ka talaga eh. Na parang, wait. Tapos magpapanik ka. Ang dami pa pala nito. So, it was hard sa una. Of course, you have to learn independently, 'di ba? And student autonomy is right there. It's so tempting, 'di ba? It's so tempting not to do whatever you have to do. But eventually, you just have to do it eh. Because if you're not gonna do it, I'm sorry, you will not survive. It's gonna be a challenge to survive if you don't have that. I remember my professor told me, the first professor I had was Prof. Wen. She's the first one naging professor when I was in my first year. And she said na you really have to find time to read and you have to study.
Kasi tulad nga po ng sabi niyo, 'pag hindi, iipon ng iipon tapos
Mm-mm.
sobrang overwhelming na. So,
Mm-mm.
I'm guilty of that. Still experiencing that. It's still a struggle for me. But
Yes.
yeah, I think like what other people say, ayun nga
Mm-mm.
po, walang madali sa umpisa. But
True.
I think now po, yeah, you were able to adjust, but was there ever a time na you were able to adjust, it's all good, smooth sailing, tas biglang, bam, nasira yung consistency na yun for whatever reason, maybe something that happened in your life or na-drain ka
Mhm.
lang, and how did you bounce back? Parang ganun.
Of course, nangyayari din 'yan once in a while because you have a lot of things to do, you have personal concerns. Nagpapatong-patong yung workload sa work. Alam mo 'yan kasi 'di ba? Sabi mo nga nagwo-work ka din. So nagpapatong-patong yung workload, yung things that you have to do sa bahay, ganyan. So nase-set aside mo 'yun. Coping up was pretty hard. You have, for me, parang mag-extra sleepless nights ako just for me to go back on track. Because if you will not, mahirapan ka talaga. Sobrang daming backlog. Nagkakaroon din ng ganon. And sometimes, if I get to really sobrang daming ganap na, I stop. I drink coffee, I procrastinate for a while. And then after that, pag medyo okay na ako, siguro within a day or a Saturday, I would really stop and do nothing. I would go back na parang, wait lang, tama na to. Tama na tong ilusyon na to na walang nangyayari. You have to go back. Kasi I know UP students are very hardworking. Parang dito ko nga natutunan yun na sobrang kailangan medyo nag-aaral ka sa UP. Although nag-aaral din naman talaga ako nung course ko nung college. Pero this is something new to me. It was pretty draining along the way because ano tong nangyayari? Hindi ko alam. Parang wait, I have to ask my classmates na bakit kakaiba siya. Kasi sa amin, we read notes, we read pieces, we sing it, we conduct, something like that. We do pedagogies. But here, it's pretty different. So, I have to stop and I have to reflect first na, wait lang, kaya ko ba to? Pahinga muna tayo ha, kasi medyo napapagod na ako. And then after that, I write down the things that I have to do. Napaka-importante yon. You have to write, ako for me. Hindi ko naman sinabing matanda na ako, pero it worked for me that I write down the things that I have to do. Yun yung pag-bounce back ko. Mag-procrastinate ako ng onte, tas okay na ulit.
Like what you've mentioned po, you reflect. Pero I think one of your points po is don't reflect for too long kasi
Yeah.
tatambak na tatambak to.
Totoo.
Okay, gising, parang ganun.
Okay na to.
But
Oo.
since it's challenging, like the information is limited for this particular master's degree and UPOU in general, I think there's not much information yet compared to other UP campuses. So why did you choose UPOU at the Ella despite na konti lang nga yung nakukuhang info when you try to research it? And how and why did you decide that you wanted to stay and finish the master's degree?
I like the finish part. Makakatapos tayo ha. Because it's so hard. It's fun learning on my own and discovering. Kasi it's to the point that you have to discover things on your own. You have to figure it out. Why UPOU? Because I've been researching. Since I am a family woman. Wow, family woman. Kasi family man, di ba? Since I have a lot of things going on, I'm looking for a school that would suit my schedule. Custom fit siya sa schedule ko na I don't have. Since it feels like malayo kasi ako from the universities. Sabi ko, paano kaya yun? But I wanted to take my master's. But it's not that I don't want to go out of the house, but it's just that the schedule might not permit. Actually, nag-take na ako ng masteral before. Pero, nahihirapan ako mag-commute. Ang hirap. I'm so far. Tapos parang sabi ko, baka I need to change school perhaps, sabi ko, kasi it would be a challenge. I tried two schools, one school and this school. I both got in. The thing is, the first school, I was interviewed already na okay, ganyan-ganyan, ganito-ganito. Tapos, after a week, UPOU, nag-email sila. Pasado ka dito, ganyan-ganyan. Tapos parang sabi ko, hala, parang na-interview na ako dun sa isa. Pero yung isa, may online and face-to-face. Parang ganun. I asked my husband if which one will work. Tapos parang sabi niya, which one will work for you? Ano ba talaga yung gusto mo? There's one thing rin na parang pag magmamasteral ka, kailangan alamin mo kung ano ba talagang gusto mo. Because there's a big difference when you're doing something that you just have to do it kasi kailangan versus ginagawa ko to kasi gusto ko. Even though you're a stranger in the course. Tapos sabi nga, nung binasa ko eventually, kasi di ba parang meron tayong module readiness, di ba may ganon tayo na exam. So, try ko, basa-basa, tapos basa ng basa. Sabi ko, papasa ba ako dito? Parang ang hirap. Mind you, I'm not an A student. Promise. Kaya I would always say na parang hindi naman ako super matalinong tao. Pero awa ng Diyos, pumasa ako ng UPOU. And then, yun nga, parang sabi ko, siguro nga, this will work for me. But I took it as a challenge kasi nga, I really have to do things on my own. So far, although hanggang ngayon, ang hirap pa rin talaga kasi pahirap na siya ng pahirap along the way. I think it worked for me because of the flexibility of you're not going to school. Parang, of course, very redundant. You can study anywhere, anytime. So, yun.
I like those points, Miss Ella, especially yung alamin mo yung gusto mo.
Mm-mm.
Kasi lahat at the end of the day ay mahirap.
True.
So, kailangan mo talagang alamin kung ano yung gusto mo.
Mm-mm.
But since we're already talking about that, did you consider in the past other master's degree courses in UPOU?
Yes, I considered. Kaya lang, parang masyadong malayo siya sa linya ko. Parang ganun. Though, if by God's grace, why not, 'di ba? Parang if talagang mapasa ko to at matapos ko, Lord, matapos tayo dito. I wanted to try other things. Parang ganun. I just wanted to finish strong. Yun lagi ako. Parang I have to finish strong. At the end of the day, you have to finish strong. Whatever it takes. Although, sobrang hirap siya.
Parang mag-focus ka muna sa ngayon. And then, once you finish strong, tsaka ka na lang magde-decide din kung
Oo,
ano yung
ganun.
gagawin next.
Mm-mm.
Right. I want to ask din po, just for you and for the viewers or listeners to know, what's an advantage po of taking a master's degree?
I think for me, ano nga ba? You get to discover things hindi mo siya natututunan nung college or hindi mo siya theoretically ako I see this parang hindi ko natutunan sa work. Ang nangyayari kasi parang yung natututunan ko sa masters ko, nare-relate ko siya sa work. Malaking bagay sa akin na nagma-masteral kasi mas nagkakaroon ako ng vision with what I do in school with if I when I train teachers, when I mentor them, mas meron akong ganun. Parang paano ba? Parang may karapatan ka to do it kasi you know something about it, 'di ba? Mahirap yung ay ganito kasi yan eh, ganyan. Tapos parang, hindi naman talaga. Hindi mali pala yung information mo. Parang it gives you more information. The more I get to know, discover a lot of things with the things that I learn from what I do. I learn from the masteral, nare-relate ko siya at nasi-share ko siya sa mga teachers ko. So which is very, I think, in a way, parang natututunan din nila yung mga bagay na natututunan ko. Sharing
And
is caring.
sharing is scary. And one of the things po, Miss Ella, that I noticed based on your answers, I just now, yung point mo ay the more information you know, the more confidence it will give you, and of course, it will make you more credible in
Yeah.
teaching.
That's the best word I think. Yung it's more credible, mas may share ka.
Mas nai-inspire na tuloy ako mag-take ng master's degree. I think also in UPOU. I'm still thinking, hopefully nga din matapos. Pero matatapos po natin 'to.
Matatapos natin 'to, kayang-kaya.
Matapos natin. And then I'll think about it. But do you have any tips po, last few tips or any tip in general na you can give to those who are considering to take a master's degree in UPOU?
I think it's a good thing to think about it. In OU, you have the autonomy to do things the way how you learn, 'di ba? Parang depends. Minsan kasi yung pag-explain ng professor, parang halimbawa yung professor natin sa face-to-face, parang sobrang complicated. Pero of course sa OU, complicated din talaga. Pero you get to discover it. You get to discover how to study on your own. Yun nga, parang ako, I like taking notes, I like drawing, I'm a visual learner, parang ganon. So, it helps for me if I do things on my own. Yun nga, hindi mo kailangang the pressure of going through traffic every day or every Saturday or Friday to go to school, to a university would be parang a burden kasi ang hirap, 'di ba? Parang grabe na yung mga traffic ngayon, grabe yung time consuming siya to travel from one place to another. Yun, I think that would help. But I'm telling you, to be honest, it's not easy. Walang madali sa mundo. Especially sa OU. Joke lang. Mahirap mag-aral kasi you are in control of how you will learn, how you will study. It's all up to you. But if you get used to it and you know your discipline, I think if there's one thing na natutunan ko sa pagiging musician ay yung disiplina. You have to have discipline because sa amin, we practice. For me, there's a misconception when we say practice to, ano yun? Practice makes perfect. If you practice something that is wrong, how can it be perfect, right? Practice makes it correct. So you practice, and make it correct. Practice builds routine. Kasi pag may routine ka na practice mo yon, magagawa mo na yon anytime. And I think yun yung naturo sa akin ng pagiging musician ko. At yun din yung hinahasa sa akin ng OU, magkaroon ng routine sa pag-aaral, sa mga bagay na dapat gawin. And it's fun here. It's difficult. Sorry, paulit-ulit ako, 'di ba? It's difficult, but it's really fun in OU because you get to learn and ang dami kong na-discover na ang hindi ako marunong. Parang gano'n, parang ang hina-hina ko ba? Parang gano'n. Pero yun nga, you'll get by.
Right? And sabi niyo nga, mahirap. I mean, walang madali ever. So,
Mm-mm.
it's up to you and ayun nga, depends on how you will build that routine para
Mm.
kahit papaano habang tumatagal, it will be easier. And ito pala yung point, Miss Ella, na nakalimutan kong sabihin kanina na wala sa isip ko.
Oo.
One of the things na I noticed with you based on your answers is yung mindset mo. What I think is one of the most important things then, like how you connect it to your job, reminding its relevance to you, and how you highlight the benefits instead of focusing on the negative parts. Parang nire-remind mo yung sarili mo, why am I here? Why did I choose this in the first place? So yeah, I also think that's why you're surviving because of your mindset. So yeah, nakakahanga po kasi I don't
Ay.
know if if I can have that kind of mindset in the future. But yeah, thank you, Miss
Yeah.
Ella, for all of the tips. These are something that not just only me, not only useful for me, but also of course for our viewers and or listeners. Thank you so much everybody for listening to Open Mind. Kung naintriga ka, tara na at subscribe to the podcast.
Like and subscribe.